Did you miss me? Don't lie. Well, did you think I'd gone away? No, I hadn't. I was just looking for the next perfect story to bring to your screens on the podcast that is Karishma Connect. Here I am speaking to Karan Singh, who is the director and CEO of Aristobrat, which is an affordable luxury menswear brand that started in 2019 in Bengaluru but seeks to go miles afar in its next leg of growth. Now, Karan talks to me about going from being a cricketer to an IT guy to finally entering the world of fashion and pursuing entrepreneurship. He talks to me about the opportunities, the challenges, the AI tools that have helped him as an entrepreneur, retail, distribution, inventory management, and a whole lot more, with, of course, a couple of fashion tips. So go check out the episode, and until the next one, stay tuned. This is Karishma, and I'll be back yet again. Until then, tada. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, Karan, for joining me on this episode of Karishma Connect. We've definitely got the K in common, and I'm looking forward to connecting on that and a whole lot more. Thank you so much once again for your time.
Karishma, the pleasure is mine.
Great. Now, the first question I ask on this podcast, because nobody says it better than you, is that tell me about your journey so far.
Well, it's been a very fulfilling one with a lot of learnings, a lot of ups and downs. But I think it's been fantastic. So I'm going to start way back as I mean how I started my career, where my
Yes.
interest was, and then where it moved and where I am today.
Yeah.
So yeah. So in the end, you'll end up see me defining me as someone who puts his hands into things who which he does not know, but he learns it and does it better. So I started my career as a cricketer. I played for the state in Karnataka, and then there in India there's a folk in everyone's lives, whether you want to get into sports or you want to pursue higher education.
Yeah.
So I pursued higher education because at that time you either you make it big or you don't make it anywhere with cricket, right?
Yeah.
And being from the business background, there was a slight inclination towards pursuing the higher education. And as the old saying in India goes, that if you've studied, you're kind of settled in your life, right?
Yeah.
So people want to they want to see you settled and earning early in your career, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I did my master's in finance in a tier two college in Bangalore. Enjoyed wherever I was. Got a nice high profile placement in campus placement in a company, in a French company called Société Générale. So
Okay.
that's a French multinational bank, and I was here at the India office. But that's when I spent a lot of time in Paris because it was a French bank and they had to send me up and down to Paris to manage the operations. So I spent a lot of time in Paris. And you can say that's where Aristobrat actually started off. I mean, it's they say, right, that travel teaches you a lot,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And yeah, and you tend to learn a lot during travel. You learn different cultures, other people's lifestyles, and some way it just sits with you at the back of your mind. And when you come back, you tend to think about that experience. So you can say that Aristocrat started there, but I was still enjoying my corporate life, so I never really gave business a thought. Then after a couple of years, I spent. I left. I joined a new company called Metric Stream.
Yeah.
It's an American company which is into governance, risk, and compliance.
Okay.
And there too, to my luck, fortunately, I was placed in the European sector. So I spent a lot of time in the Scandinavian countries this time. So it was
Yeah.
in Denmark, it was in Sweden. Then I spent some time in Berlin, in Munich, uh, and then I spent some time in Spain. So what happened? And there, when I was in Scandinavian countries, I learned the whole concept of minimalistic dressing. If you see an average European, his wardrobe is very versatile. They would often wear very monochromatic colors, and you would see them dress up very smartly. You won't s- you and there would be just one pop color for a special occasion, but on a day-to-day basis, their wardrobe was very lean and they made very simple choices. Right, a lot of brands out there also spoke a lot about versatility and building a thoughtful wardrobe and sustainability. Now that kind of dressing sense sat with me and became part of my culture.
Mm.
So I came back from there. Aristobrat still didn't start. I joined hands with a common friend who's running a software firm, uh, and we I became a one of the partners there, and then we made a lot of custom software for e-commerce companies, right? And based out of Europe. So my the European connection didn't really leave me.
Yeah.
So couple of years in the business, we understood the e-commerce business, how it works, how the operations work. So we said, why not we give it, try a hand and open a brand of our own. My
Mm.
partner was against it because he never really understood the whole brand side of things. But I said, listen, I want to just still give it a shot. But he was very nice to support me, and we started Aristobrat as a small experiment within the software company. So fast forward in a couple of years, it got really popular to the extent where we had to make it a separate company, and I enjoyed what I was doing, and I felt my heart was in apparel and fashion.
Mm.
And my partner was made for tech. So we started the company together, but we parted ways, and I gave up my position as a director in the software company, and he'd give his position up in the fashion company, and then we followed our own passion. I would say where our hearts really belong to. So the journey has been fantastic. It's been about 4 years. And my role in my company is of a creative director. So you see my journey. It started as a finance guy. I got
Mm.
into software and IT, and now I'm into marketing and creative direction. And yeah, and the thing is, things have come so naturally to me, and I've really enjoyed what I did. So I think it's been a very fulfilling journey so far, and we are growing about 120% every year. We have a good team of 25 people working with us. So some of the principles that have really that we have stuck to is that every order has to be profitable. We have focused on profitability from day one.
Mm.
We've not chased valuation. We've not chased unnecessary scale, because with scale comes a lot of spending. And in a retail business, you need to be very careful, because if you don't get your scale right, if you don't have proper inventory management, your retail can fail, and that's when things start going wrong. And that's where a lot of retail companies are facing problems. In the whole motive of achieving scale, they tend to ignore profitability,
Mm.
and then it's a vicious cycle, and it doesn't end. So that's been my journey so far.
That's a lovely one because it is, especially when you mentioned that you started in a software, that's a completely different setting to start a fashion brand
Yeah,
in. It's a
yeah,
totally different setting to do that. So that's super
yeah.
interesting. What I want to know from you is, because you've been around the world and because you've had this journey, tell me, what have you observed about the retail industry at large and how has it evolved? What are the kind of opportunities you look forward to?
Yeah, so the thing is, I feel the retail industry has come a long way.
Mm.
Um, but somewhere down the line, some of the big groups have lost focus in terms of what they have to offer. I think everyone in the retail industry is chasing enormous scale, and that's where a lot of brands today are struggling. And there's a whole movement of fast fashion that is coming, which we as a brand are against it for a lot of reasons. One is because you uh, f- because fashion industry is overproducing. I mean, the output has increased nearly to about 10 billion units a year in the past 20 years, right? Now that's a problem. So that's a problem in terms of you're offering too much to the consumers. Uh, the garment industry, the second largest polluter to, or rather contributor to the pollution in the
Mm.
entire world.
Mm.
There's a lot of garment waste that is produced,
Mm.
and I feel that somewhere economies and the businesses have to collectively work together within the planetary boundaries to, and rather than chasing, uh, infinite growth. So I feel that fashion industry has expanded, has grown, and is going to keep growing. But things are haphazard, if you ask me, because the companies have huge inventories, and in the name of discounts and sales and marketplaces, they are more focused on diluting the inventory rather than providing value to the customers. And some of the brands, if you ask me, have this is the reason why they have gone bankrupt in the past 4 to 5 years. In fact, one of the big brands, I'm not going to mention names over here, but if you really read up, some of the really big brands have gone bankrupt and they are facing a problem in terms of sustaining the business. So that's where I see where the fashion industry is heading.
Is there something for entrepreneurs like yourself who are looking to enter the space or are in the space? Is there something that you can share from your journey that has worked,
Yeah.
been operating within this scenario?
Yeah, I think more than anything else, what's really worked for us is that we've not tried to uh, grow too quickly.
Mm,
Okay. We've taken every day how it comes. We've set realistic targets because we've got to realize that fashion industry is, although it's a huge market, it's a very diluted one.
mm,
There are a lot of players. Um, we to survive and stay in the market, there's a bit of differentiation we need to keep working
mm,
towards, because if you're not differentiating and not innovating in the industry, what happens is that you end up competing on the price and not the differentiation. And when you're competing on the price, there's a lot of undercutting for your products. There's you're not focused on value. You're again playing the mass game. Secondly, we've had a very strict zero inventory policy. So you will
mm,
never see a brand where we have dead stock lying and we have to write off the stock or destroy it or burn it. So what happens is that our supply chain is so well managed and handled that every product that we buy from from a manufacturer, it
mm,
sells out. So the stock in the end becomes zero. So any styles that are not moving, our supply chains are set up in such a streamlined manner that we have the ability to sell out that stock. And if it's a low performer, we phase it out, and then we have something new that is, and we increase production on the high performers. So in
mm,
the end, what you end up having a line of clothing that actually sells. It's not sitting in your inventory. So we've consciously taken a decision to keep a stock turnover of 3 months. Stock turnover means that the amount of stock at any point of time that you have to serve your customers. So usually, many companies have stock turnovers of 8 months to a year. So that's like they at any point in time they have stocks for 8 months, but we have stocks for 3 months only. So if we stop buying, uh, we'll just have 3 months of products to sell to our customers. That's what stock turnover means. So we make sure that we every time a stock is rotated in such a way that the stock turnover doesn't go above 3 months,
mm,
and we are not holding inventory where it's going to hurt us or a capital is going to be blocked.
mm,
So these are a few things that we are doing that is really helping us.
mm,
And another thing is, being from the IT industry,
mm,
we've always learned that it's better to get more out of people, use automation wherever necessary, and keep the team lean and mean. So the kind of scale we are doing right now, yeah, we would require at least 50 to 75 people, but
mm,
we are achieving the same scale at one third the workforce. So we have just 25 people. Um, so our fulfillment and packing and inventory team is a little heavy. It's got about 6 to 7 people. But if you look at our office, marketing's in house. So whatever is core to the company, we've kept in house, and whatever is not core to us or is a supporting function, we have outsourced it completely or built automations or using softwares to manage that business.
mm,
So the thing is, the whole idea is to keep the business very lean, and we believe that in the age of automation, if you're not using technology and making right use of it, and you're still spending on workforce, then you're doing something fundamentally wrong, and that's what we believe. So. Uh, so yeah, a business that requires about 75 people are managed in 25, and we're very happy to do that.
Yeah.
So these are a few things that we have learned and trying to do different, because see, in the retail business, there's not much you can do in the front end. Yes, you can have slight product innovations.
Mm.
There's no IP, that is intellectual property, so someone can copy your style very quickly,
Yeah.
right? So how do you stay ahead of the game is all because of marketing. As we speak, my team is already working on how to make the shirt that I'm wearing a little better in the next launch. So
Mm.
we go deeper into the product to make the product better, because if you look at our styles, we're not very wide, we're very narrow in our offering. And having said that, when you're narrow, you want to make your product better at every launch. And a repeat customer rate is about 45%, which is
Okay.
pretty high compared to industry standards. So we've got customers who keep coming back to us. And so that is something that we've done. We've kept the cost of acquisition low, and we have tried, when we acquire a customer, we've tried to make sure that shopping becomes a habit from us, and we have implemented strategies where the customers keep coming back to us, right?
Mm.
Because that's where the real profitability is, right?
Mm.
Then we have done just in time inventory and proper stock management. We have kept the team very lean and the business profitable. So these are the few things that we have done that is helping our business. So retail is all about operations. You need to keep your operations lean and profitable. Otherwise, you're just going to be another brand in the market that is going through the same vicious cycle of overstocking, high inventory, spending on people, and so on.
You touched a very interesting point there, which I've been meaning to prod you further on, which
Yeah.
is automation. It's
Yeah.
something that's been in my mind of late. I've seen, as a podcaster, as somebody who's doing this single-handedly, there are different ways in which automation can support. Of course, as a employee, it may not be, it might scare you that it's going to take away your job, but at the same time, as an entrepreneur, from what I have seen, it does help solve a lot of things without having to invest in workforce, at least at an early stage of your business.
Right.
What do you have to say about that? What kind of tools have you discovered that people can use?
Mhm.
One, in terms of starting out, and two, what do you think about it? Do you think automation really helps? Which is partially what you also answered already,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
just to like to deep dive a little.
Yeah. So automation helps. It helps the business. Why? I'll tell you what it does. It just makes it's let me just, I know people think that AI and automation is going to take a lot of jobs, it's going to replace humans. I don't think it's going to replace humans. If used well,
Mm.
it can make uh, a skill better, or rather it can it can make your work 10 times faster. And then it gives a lot of mind space for creativity and doing things in a better way. Now, for example, we don't we are marketing heavy, but we do not have designers. So we have
Mm.
so when it comes to the kind of work we're doing, we would require about two designers and two videographers and content creators. But with artificial intelligence and the tools that are there, or softwares that are there out in the industry, we don't really have to hire designers. So we've got
Yeah.
one designer who uses tools like can I say the tools that we're using?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Please.
So there's a very nice tool for your social media posts that you can use. It's called it was called Over, but now it is called GoDaddy Studio. I think it's
Interesting.
fantastic. Yeah, I think it's fantastic. It's not very expensive. We can use that. Then there's a nice video editor that it's called a VN editor. That's
Okay.
another brilliant tool to use, because what happens is that you do not need so both of these tools, when one in photography and one in videography, you do not really require that technical expertise. It just makes any layperson also use the platforms or software. So by using these two platforms, we have in fact reduced our cost by nearly 40%, and we don't really have to hire three more people in the team to do this. So what it does is we have two people in the content team, and they use these platforms to create better content and content faster than what they were doing. So without these tools, if we had to take a piece of content or shoot a video, for example, it used to take about a week, right?
Mm.
Starting from concept to scripting to execution to shooting, execution, editing would have taken about week to 10 days. But with
Mm.
these platforms around, I think it takes about 2 days, yeah, to get everything
Wow.
out.
This
Yeah,
is
it's
great resource what you just
yeah.
shared. What will help
Yeah,
people?
I think it's great. I think it can work, make things a lot faster. And
Mm.
when it comes to even reporting, there's a nice reporting platform we use from Microsoft. It's called Power BI. I think it integrates well with the systems. And, traditionally, you would have someone called retail planners who would churn out reports
Mm.
and spend hours on Excel sheets to put the right data in the right columns and create graphs and charts. But then with this Power BI, it just pulls the data and you it's just one time setup, pulls the data and gives you the entire inventory or business health immediately. So I think automation is great. We also use automation on the supply chain side, that if any product is hitting is low in stock
Mm.
and it's a fast seller, so we've got systems where it automatically creates a purchase order and it sends an intimation to the manufacturer.
Okay.
So when, yes, of course, in the final approval, a merchandiser from a team has to go and approve the entire order. But
Mm.
what happens, the manufacturer is also notified that my my customer has a certain shortage and I need to plan in advance to provide this product to the customer.
Mm.
So without us looking at the inventory and making calls and so on, so this kind of automation that makes work efficient, that makes communication easy,
Yeah.
that reduces communication gaps is fantastic. And I think, and that's helped us a long way. Otherwise, to just overcome these communication gaps, I feel that companies end up hiring two or three extra people.
Mm.
But ultimately, if you really look at it, if you have your communication in place and if you have
Mm.
a structure to things that you're doing, then you really don't need so many people. Because what happens is, and what's happening right now in industry is, you first hire a lot of people, you set expectations, you set processes, then you bring in automation, and then you lay off people. But that's unfair. That is something that you shouldn't be doing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, because I think as a company, you have certain responsibility. I believe I have certain responsibility to people. And if I don't need someone, I'm not going to hire someone and then let them go just because my business has improved or I found new ways to do things. So
Mm.
that's where a lot of companies are going wrong. They're not setting operations the right way,
Yeah.
and there's certain bit of responsibility we take. We have a no, and first of all, as a company, we have a no firing policy. So we don't do that. And to do that, you need to know your business very well. You need to know your operations well. You need to know how many people you need to operate a business and not hire too fast.
Mm.
So if you understand automation, you apply it from day one, I think it can work wonders for you, and you end up and you don't end up setting up wrong expectations for people in the market.
I'm going
Yeah.
to diverge a little bit,
Yeah.
get into what you do as a fashion entrepreneur. Tell me, what are some of the looks that have inspired you recently? Maybe one or two of them that have kind of made you feel like, okay, there's something unique happening out there. It could also be your own.
The thing is, as a brand, we don't chase trends, we don't chase the change, but we stick to the constant,
Mm.
because we believe that trends will come and go, but
Mm.
simple, basic, classic clothing is always going to be there, and that's what people always require. So, one trend that I've seen that is coming is, or rather, it's exploded, is the streetwear. Okay,
Yeah.
but we've thought about it, but then that's
Mm.
not a brand. We will never get into it just because it
Yeah.
doesn't just because it's a trend, but if something does not align with a strategy, we're not going to get into it, right? But there's a huge trend on the other side which is called quiet luxury. So quiet luxury is a concept where you're wearing great, valuable clothes, but this does not have a logo. So if you really look at the elite and the rich and the way they dress up, is that they don't wear logos. You would never see a Mark Zuckerberg with a logo. You would never see a Bill Gates with a logo. Same with Jeff Bezos with a logo. In fact, you will not believe me that Mark Zuckerberg wears a gray t-shirt that looks out of a Walmart, but in reality, his t-shirt costs about $600. Okay, and that's from a designer brand called Bruno Conielli. So it's an Italian designer. Got it? So that's what you call quiet luxury, where people
Yeah,
wear good, valuable clothing that makes them feel nice, but
yeah,
they don't carry brands, you know. And I'm of the belief that the rich don't like to spend on things that don't make sense. That's because they are thinking about how you make your money grow. But it is the people who like to wear brands is
very
I don't
true.
know. Yeah, they like to spend on these flashy things is what you would say in a very very candidly speaking, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, we don't chase trends. We chase classy, good fashion. And as a brand in India, we are positioned as an affordable luxury brand. So
Mm,
what we tell people is, you have Massimo Dutti's of the world.
mm,
Uh, they, uh, they are priced at this, and we'll get you the same thing, manufactured by the same people at the same quality, same fabric, at one third the price. Because for me, when I used to spend time in Europe, personally, when I was working, and I found some of the brands a little expensive, and there was a bit there was I aspire to own these brands,
mm.
right?
Yeah.
So one of the reasons why I also got into this is I said, listen, I want a lot of people like me who wanted to afford these brands. I want them to experience good things and good
Mm.
quality or good clothing, and that's where Aristobrat came in as well. So we get luxury product at nearly one third the price, and that we want good things to be available to a larger section of people.
With so many different brands around, how do
Yeah,
you differentiate as a menswear brand?
got it. So yeah, so then now it comes purely down to two things. One is the story that we are selling,
Mm,
and the product differentiation, right? So, from a story point of view, we say that do more with less,
mm,
and we go out there on social media and create content, and the brand is positioned in a way that, look, we're going to get you we are going to get you few pieces of clothing that you exactly need, and you need no more. You don't need to keep buying every month and get into a whole vicious cycle, because what fast fashion does to you is that it makes you believe you don't have enough,
yeah,
right? You tend to
yeah,
buy, although you have a lot of clothing, then you tend to keep buying, and it's a vicious cycle. You end up spending a lot more. So
yeah.
what slow fashion does is, it helps you develop your particular style, and we bring clothing for that style. As simple as that, right? That's the differentiation from the story point of view. And
Mm,
let me tell you, from a psychological point, if I give you 10 choices, you're going to have a hard time making a choice as to what you want to buy. And that's
mm,
what happens when we open our wardrobes in the morning. But then
yeah.
if I give you option A and option B, there's less decision fatigue. In fact,
Yes.
there's no decision fatigue, right? So
Yeah.
we're trying to eliminate decision fatigue and make life simple, at the same time looking great, right? Number two, there's product differentiation. So what happens? We take every single product, the co-product, and add functionality into it. Like
Okay.
for example, we've identified problems with every category and segment. So
Mm,
we've seen that there are plenty of trousers or pants available in the industry for men.
mm,
But what happens is that the brands manufacture even sizes. That is 28, 30, 32, 34, 36, 38, and so on.
mm,
In a real scenario, and more often, men fit into odd sizes. That is 31, 33, 35,
mm,
and so on, right? So to fit into a trouser, for a trouser to fit, it needs to expand a bit. So what we did is we did a lot of research on this, and we said, look, we have regular chinos.
mm,
Let's launch a chino with which is three-fourth elastic,
mm,
okay, and one-fourth standard. The waistband is one-fourth standard, three-fourth elastic.
mm,
So what happens, the when you wear these trousers, it expands a bit to give you room, because the your waist is not the same throughout the day. It expands because when you try clothes in the morning and the evening, in some cases, you expand 2 inches for certain people,
mm,
right? So
mm,
what happens is that the pants expand and it fits great on the waist. So a person who gets into in between sizes, the waist expands a bit and it fits them very well. We launched these trousers. It did phenomenally well. And then we coined a word called jamas, which is a hybrid of trouser and pajamas. So we
mm,
called it jamas. and it grew to a level we had to trademark that name. You know, the name
Yes.
became, yeah, yeah. Yeah, so that name became very popular,
Yeah.
jamas, and it's actually become another category of pants. So you have jeans, you have chinos. So jamas is something that people look for. You know, similarly, we make small functional changes in products that focus on solving problems, right? So in a formal shirt, we saw that men they like cufflinks, right? So, but cufflinks is painful, you know, and you need to keep changing them out. So we said, you know what? And plus, the buttons on the shirt are difficult to in fact put for men, you know,
Yeah.
because they spend a lot of time putting. So we
Yeah.
created a lovely snap button with a nice, a designer button on top, which is snap, and we call it easy cuffs. That resonated with people and it did well, right?
Huh.
And then we launched another pant which is called the everywhere pants that looks like a trouser but feels like a jogger. So there was this designer who used to come to our office, and you know, creative guys are slightly shabby in the dressing sense. So he used to wear pajamas and joggers and enter the office. And I said, hey, you know what? I know this is this is you, and you need your state of mind, but then at least change your pants. But
Yeah.
then I thought, look, I don't want to change this guy. What if there was and there must be many people like him who want to just lounge in pants that are comfortable, right? But they have to look like pants. So we went back to the merchandising and said, hey, you know what? We need to create a product that is a hybrid. It's between a jogger and a trouser. It has to look like a trouser and it has to feel like a jogger. So we created stretch pants, and that did phenomenally well as well. You know, so we've realized that if you sell a product that is easily available in the market, and if there's no differentiation and there's a huge supply of those products, then that's the time when you need to get into an entire price war. Okay, and you're competing on the price. But then if you give a co-product that with a little bit of differentiation, and you move away from what the market has to offer, that's when the real value comes into play, and that's worked very well for us. So two ways we are being different. One is we are telling a different story, and to back it up, we are selling the core product with subtle changes and functionality into it.
Gone from cricket to
Yeah,
doing Aristobrat. What have you learned about never giving up? Because there's something that you learn from sportsmanship as well, and then there's something that
absolutely.
you learn from entrepreneurship. So I'll let you do the deciphering.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, you know what? In sports, you fail every day. Not every day is the same.
Yeah.
And I've gone through plenty of failures, plenty of setbacks. You meet a lot of people that are not, what do you call, politically right when they're talking. Because in a corporate culture, there's a way to communicate, right? But on the field, you're not going to get that kind of treatment. Nobody's going to be nice and sweet to you. You're going to be politically right. They are right on the face, and they're going to. And if you're doing something wrong, you've had it. And that's how sports works, right? So I've gone through many rejections, many ups and downs, and I think I've treated my life, my entrepreneurship as a sport because I'm playing every day, but it's just not on the field, it's in my office. And entrepreneurship too is going to be in some parts, it's a very lonely journey. Uh, there are days where you're going to wake up and you'll feel like quitting. You'll be very honest. There are days out of 365, you're going to have 200 bad days. But it's those remaining 165 days that you need to make best of. And I think sports has made me a little more equipped. It has taught me that it's not the end of the world, and there's still a long way to go. So uh, I really am I'm thankful that I played sports at a professional level, and it's made me mentally a little more stronger person to deal with a lot of issues that come up in the entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a reason why you left cricket then as a
Yeah,
profession?
yeah. The thing is, uh, self-assessment. There are two reasons. Maybe I wasn't good enough, and I realized that. And I think at some point you need to self-assess and understand whether you're doing something right for yourself or not. But so I realized that I was great. I had few more years of work to put in, but then uh, was I willing to take the risk or not? Is was the question.
Mm.
And then I felt that, sorry.
You choose your battles.
Exactly, you choose your battles. Everybody has to make a choice, and I have no regrets, to be very honest, no regrets at all. So I chose to do this. Um, thing is, I think we all here to make choices, and this
Yes.
was the choice I made. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah,
Depends on
so
you. Yeah.
yeah, I love the sport. I still love it. I have a lot of friends in the cricketing fraternity. But yes, had I been a cricketer, I would have been happy as well. But I'm not sad doing this either. I'm having a great time.
I'm going to circle back to Aristobrat and ask you my
Yeah,
last question, which is tell me why the name, and
yeah,
secondly, what's next for you?
yeah. Now, Aristobrat is coined after two of my favorite characters.
Okay.
One is Daniel Craig, James Bond,
Yeah.
because I love his style. I love the way he dresses up. He's very aristocratic in his nature, very
Yeah.
stylish, very suave. And the second is Tony Stark. Tony Stark is someone who's flamboyant, who's slightly on the face, who's very bratty in nature,
Mm.
and he's someone who would jump, who would do many things during a day, right? And who would jump from one thing to another without really having to think too much. So if you put them together, you have someone who's aristocratic and someone who's a brat, and you have an aristocrat, a whole new breed of gentlemen that will influence the generations of tomorrow, and that's where the name came up from. And even if we look at a brand, what we do is we are all about class and style, which is very aristocratic. And at the same time, we take that style, we
Mm.
take the whole traditional style, we add a bit of functionality, we add a bit of Tony Stark to it, and then you know the whole brat thing comes into play. So you have an aristocrat.
And
That's where
what's
the name came.
next? What are you
Sorry.
looking for? What's next for you? What are you looking forward to with the brand?
Yeah, what I'm looking forward to is I think we've done really well online. Primarily, will be an online brand. I think the power of online is the fact that you can reach a lot of people sitting from one geographical location. It takes away geographical boundaries. But what we are doing now is we're slowly foraying into the whole offline segment as well.
Mm.
Uh, Mid-August, we'll have a first experience store, because I believe that I don't know how is it in Dubai, but I think it's the same all over the world. That when once you have a physical location, it just adds a little bit of credibility to you, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you're not seen as an online or an Instagram brand or something like that. When you have a physical location, even if you're new, people look at you a little differently.
Yes.
So literally it puts you on the map.
Yeah.
Even the literal sense, even figuratively speaking, having a offline location puts you on the map. So we're looking forward to that. Uh, uh, that's yeah, and yeah, in the next 1 year, we will be having about three offline locations in three core cities that we serve.
Yeah.
Bangalore will be, of course, it's our home. We need to have it here. We will look at Hyderabad, and we'll also look at Mumbai. So that's what we're looking forward to. And yeah, quite a few categories we're going to expand to. We're going to expand to the whole home collection. When I say home, I mean say homeware, and lounging is what you're going to look at. We're going to get into, maybe when we have an experience center, I'm looking forward to even get into bespoke tailoring
Mm.
for suits and jackets, because a lot
Mm.
of demand is coming from there.
Yeah.
And next year, I'm also looking at expanding to UAE, because we get a lot of demand from there. Many
Yeah.
of our customers who have moved to UAE or who have friends in UAE have in fact contacted us and placed orders online through us, and we've shipped products to UAE, so Saudi, and we've got some.
Ship worldwide.
Yeah, we do. On request, we ship worldwide. You cannot obviously go online and shop, because there are export duties, there's compliances, there's payment gateways that come into play, and plus, there's a huge delivery fee that comes into play. So to dynamically calculate delivery charges, because when people buy, they buy 10 to 15 products together. So it's a shipping box that goes to people, right? So so to calculate that cost is in real time. So that become to calculate cost, it becomes a challenge. So what they do is people get in touch with us, and we give them an estimate, and we have the products that are shipped. So yeah, you can order from anywhere in the world. In fact, we ship to Canada and US as well, in some cases. Yeah, yeah. So this is what we're looking forward to. So see, Karishma, the thing is, it's very easy for us to scale and become maybe 100 or maybe 150 CR brand, but that's going to come at a cost, and that's going to be cost, and the cost of that is devaluing our brand and discounting products. It's not difficult. I think the real challenge here is to uh, serve a luxury market,
Yeah,
because there you'll find a the customer base that is more loyal.
yeah,
And we've realized that if you want to be an affordable luxury or luxury player, building a brand takes time. Brands don't grow overnight.
yeah,
If you look at the Massimo Duttis, or the Zaras, or the Inditex group, if you look at the Gucci's, they've they have a an average of 50 or 60-year-old story to tell, right? It takes time. Yeah,
absolutely.
so and that's yeah, so even we are taking our time to grow, and we have a 15 or 20-year-old roadmap that we are looking at. So we want to grow this as a renowned family business, because and we want to make it sustainable. That's the whole story here.
Well, more power to you and your vision. Thank you so much for sharing all these insights. It's gone a little longer, but that's because I've genuinely enjoyed this conversation and taken away so much from it. So thank you so much. And I'm sure the listeners will have a great time as well.
Pleasure is mine. Like you said, I was just very candid and unstructured in this conversation. I hope it helps a lot of people, in trying to understand what we have built. I mean, if you have to ask me, my advice to entrepreneurs would be to, understand that good things take time. You need patience and perseverance. Brands and companies are not built in a day. They take time, and everyone has their own growth path and success. I think we need to stop copying or stealing other people's success, because everyone's growth path is different. Everyone's journey is different.
Great. Great.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you so much, Karan.
Knock, knock. Are you still here? Well, I'm super happy that you are. Thank you so much for watching and tuning in. Please do like, share, and subscribe to Karishma Connect across platforms. And I look forward to bringing you many more such amazing stories from around the world. If you've got one, please do get in touch. Lots of love.